It's a brand new morning, it's a brand new week, and welcome back to In My Opinion with Dr. Anansi. Today, I have a lot on my chest that I'm going to drop. A lot of bombs, a lot of corrections, a lot of truth, eye-opening truth. Yes, we have a lot to discuss today, and today might be a long one for those who don't like long sessions. But stay with me because it's a long one, yet it's going to be very, very much worth it. So stay with me as we go into or dive into this. So I'm basically going to talk about the experience that from my lens, from my eyes, what I experienced as part of the RX22 batch of pharmacy graduates, yeah, the pharmacy professionals, and I'll deal with the Ministry of Health, I'll deal with the government, I'll deal with the various associations in the Pharmacy Council, the PSGH, everything. So I'm going to start from their end because in every situation, people will be like, "Oh, we want to hear that side of the story. Your side of the story might not be right." Blah 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 blah. So, fortunately for everybody, there was PSGH released a write-up in the Ghana Pharmaceutical Journal. It was released in June. Yes, 24th of June 2025, and whatever they wrote came with some level of receipt. I would leave the link to whatever was written in the journal in my in the description, be it YouTube, be it Spotify, wherever you are listening from. The link will be in the description so you can get access to it. It's long, it's quite long. I can't read everything. So you can read that, then based on what was said, you balance it out with what I am going to say. And I'll be making points in and out from some of the things that were said in the write-up. So beginning from the beginning, in the beginning. So this is from my lens, so from my point of view, not necessarily, yes, my point of view from my lens on how I saw things. So beginning from, I think I was still doing our rotation. I hadn't even completed school. I was around that time that the batch before us, that was RX21, was about getting their financial clearance after the media brouhaha and dragging the government through the mud on social media and everything. And we were told, I won't say we were told, it wasn't an official communication, but we heard, and other RX22, other people in RX22, the batch RX22 would verify this, that we heard that in submitting the list or the number of people, the names for the financial clearance, they added ours. But when I heard that, I mean, it didn't really make sense to me because we hadn't written the GPPQE yet, and they can only submit names of people who had passed. So if they're submitting all our names, are they trying to say they're going to pass all of us? In the sense, it kind of seemed like it was a conversation around making us have some level of trust that things will be fine and have some hope that everything will work out just as is expected in a sense. So we finished school, we wrote our GPPQE, we passed, and we were at home for 6 months. Yeah, so we were at home for 6 months doing nothing, and all it was just a lot of back and forth, because, like it was stated in the write up, conversations with the government based on the previous batch, I was RX21 media stuff, were ended on the point that we are not going to be posted unless financial clearance is given. And this they told us. Like, let us note this. We were told that that is the situation. So they're not going to post us unless financial clearance comes. So we knew that, and we were at home. We're not complaining, no. No one was complaining about being at home. We were at home waiting for them to work on it because we are at home for 6 good months. We are expecting that something should be done. In the fifth month, we had our induction. That was May 2023. We had our induction, and something special happened there. So we had stayed at home for like about 5 months. We had not heard anything positive with regards to the clearance or anything. All we heard of, we are working on it. We are working. There were a few meetings prior to the induction, and everything. All the conversations we are working on it. But as to the specifics of what they are actually working on, we didn't hear. Which to me, it's a letdown on the side of our leaders. You should be able to give us some level of specifics. We are not asking for the tiniest detail, but give us some specifics. Don't tell me you are working on it. Tell me, oh, we've spoken to Ministry of Health, we've spoken to this person, we've spoken to this person, and the conversation is, you don't give us details. At least tell us the conversation is hopeful that something will be done quite in the coming months or something of that sort. Like, tell us the specifics or some of the specifics you've done. Don't come and tell us you're working on it. You're working on what? By telling me you're working on it, I feel like you've done nothing. You're just trying to tell me that so I keep quiet. So we'll understand why I'm frustrated at this point later on. So it was on this induction that after we were inducted, there was supposed to be a meeting. No, there was a meeting between us and our leaders, some of the pharmacy council board members and the PhD. Like I think it was mostly the pharmacy council board members, yes, and one person from Ministry of Health. Yes. The Fortunately, this is it's on the net. You can actually search for it and you find it. The induction of pharmacists in 2023, May 2023. It's on YouTube. You just have to skip the whole induction aspect to the second aspect where there was a meeting between us and the leaders, and it's still there on YouTube. It's still there. You can go and watch it, and you can verify what I'm saying. So in this meeting, they told us, emphasis on they told us that they would want us to start the housemanship because they don't want there to be a backlog of graduates. That when they complete school, they'll have to stay at home. Probably if our our financial clearance comes like December of 2023, that means I don't know, like in a sense, the more we wait, there will be a lot of people at home. So we get to a point there will be about 2 years or 3 years pharmacy graduates at home who have not been posted to do a housemanship and so cannot necessarily work, and it's going to be a whole blah 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 blah. So because of that, they were advising that we start the housemanship, and they're going to work on the clearance, and there will be a back pay, and that's what they've been doing in the past. They start before financial clearance, but they always speak to them, talk to Ministry of Health, and they work on the back pay, and everything is sorted. And because it's going to be a one at a go payment, it's going to be simpler and straight and easier than the monthly payment thing. Like I'm literally, you can go and listen and you can go and listen to what the video I'm talking about. I'll try and add that link to my description as well, so you can go and check it out. I'll make sure it starts at the point before the meeting, so as soon as you tap the link, you can just access the meeting directly. So yeah, so literally, basically that was what was said, and we tried to try to remind them that they told us that we cannot we are not going to start until financial clearance comes. We're only making noise to them because had been about 4 months, 5 months, and we've not heard anything. All we heard was we are working on it, and that wasn't enough for us, right? So we reminded them that was what they told us, and they were like, "Yes, but now things have changed, so we have to go back to the old ways." Blah 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 blah. So it things turned in a sense that I think we were this part I don't have a vivid memory of it, but I believe there was a division amongst the batch. Some people wanted to start, some people didn't. So they gave us an ultimatum, a choice that we can choose. They'll send us a link or something that we will have to fill, and we'll choose whether we will want to start, like right there and then, and there will be a back pay, or we'll wait when the financial clearance comes, then we start. So it concluded on the basis that those who choose to start now will be posted now, and those who choose to wait will wait. When the financial clearance comes, then they will start. They give us that choice. Emphasis. They give us the choice. People chose to start. Others chose not to. So they didn't even fill that form to begin with. Yet, in the end, they posted everybody. Hello? They posted everyone. Everyone. Those who even, because I remember on the page, people were like, some of us didn't choose to this one, but when the list came, we've all been posted. So they posted everyone. And everyone had to start. We silently started the housemanship because partially the reason why we were in a sense pushed to start, this is from my lens, is that the hospitals lacked that workforce because of for years government hadn't recruited pharmacists into the the government sector, the health sector. So the hospitals were literally running on the availability of house officers. And for about 3 to 4 months, house officers were not around in the hospitals. So the hospitals lacked that hands, that extra hands to make things run smoothly. So they, in a sense, there was pressure mounting on the leaders to kind of push us into the system, whether we like it or yes. And on this narrative, there was this narrative going around which I'm literally describing the whole thing so that you will get it because it was being said outside that we proposed that we want to start, which is a lie, and this is the first lie. There are lots of lies in this in this lots of lies from our leaders about us and to us that I'm going to clarify, and that this is the first one that we propose that we want to start. I remember there was one meeting they were like, and we went to say that we have stayed at home for a very long time. When start, no, we were saying we had stayed at home for a very long time. The financial clearance wasn't in. We were willing not to start without financial clearance, but we were mounting pressure because it's been about 6 months. And going back to the conversation I had that you had submitted our names earlier, Crown, which I doubted to begin with. At this point, we should have heard something. You already have our numbers. Like all the official stuff that you need, you already have. So what is delaying with this? So that aspect of the induction and everything happened. So around I'm not really sure on the timeline for this aspect, but I think around November 2023 we started the social media stuff. We started like posting on Twitter and calling on the government and blah 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 blah. And yes, one more thing. I think was it at the meeting? Yes, at the meeting there were talks of migrating us early. Yes, we. I think that was something we proposed. We proposed. That was the thing we proposed, not them. Not the other one that they said we won't propose. This was what we proposed, that they should migrate us early because it is not ideally we should have started our housemanship in January 2023 and be completing by December 2023. So we staying at home for 4 to 5 or 6 months is not our it's not our fault. Eh? The batch before us, because unfortunately y'all didn't do your job well, you didn't do your advocacy properly, or you did your advocacy but it didn't get you anywhere well enough that the batch themselves had to make so much noise on social media before pushing the hand of the government in a sense. That's how is that our fault that we had to stay at home, and after a year we are supposed to start our house, we're supposed to do our housemanship and be migrated after the housemanship. It's not our fault that this is a special situation. So, oh yeah, migrate us. We beg. We begged them. We proposed that. They agreed. They sat as a council and decided that it's actually kind of like the best thing to do. And in a way, they felt, emphasis, they felt it was a way to pacify us, that we'll be able to register facilities. And when we're able to do that, at least we'll be able to get some little coins into our pocket. for the meantime as they work on the financial clearance, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, tell me why they are slapping this thing onto our faces left, right, center. Yes, we're the first batch that thing happened. The batch after us, the same thing happened to them. They were migrated into the permanent. So, for those who don't understand, when you finish pharmacy, when you graduate pharmacy, right, you pass all the necessary requirements to become a pharmacist in Ghana. When you meet all that, you pass your exams and everything, you are put on a temporary license. You're given a temporary license for a year. So that time are only able to work as a house officer, probably as a local pharmacist or something. Yes, you can work, but you don't have the right to um, license a pharmacy. Give your license to a pharmacy for the pharmacy to be able to operate. You are not viable for that right yet. You would have to wait a year. So after 1 year, during that year, you're supposed to do your housemanship. After the housemanship, then you are automatically that's when you're done with the housemanship, you automatically moved to the permanent lines, the permanent register, sorry. And that's when you have a permanent license, and then you can um do all that you have to do, like license a pharmacy and all that. So because ours was a special case and it wasn't our fault that we had to stay at home for those number of months, we requested that they do that for us, and they agreed and they did. The batch after us, because it wasn't our fault anyway that we stayed at home for about 6 months. They also stayed at home for the same amount of time, and they were also migrated after 6 months into their housemanship. But it's only us that they're slapping that thing into our faces. And we've done, and they moved us into this one. Why are we not grateful? We are not saying we're not grateful for you moving us early. But don't make it look as if we should be comfortable with that and that alone. Ideally, by June the following year, you would have migrated us. But the funny aspect is migration is always not written in capital letters in the constitution. But migration is literally done like early on in the year. So by June, no, you're not going to migrate us. That means we have to wait till the next year, which wasn't fair. So that was what our thought process was, that we made that proposition of which they accepted. So my this one is, I don't get why they be going around after, like, for a long time, for about a year, they had been going around saying that, they migrated us early, blah 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 blah. Why are we making noise? We should keep quiet and let them work on that. Then they like, it's a whole lot of this one. You have done it like that way. At a point, you have done it. So don't hold that as a trump card. We are grateful for that. But that was done mainly because people had loans to pay off. Honestly, people paid, went for loans to be able to pay for their school fees and stuff. And it was a whole brouhaha. And the postings to, people had been posted to places which were not close to their homes. Do you get it? So these costs, they had to pay for rent and those kind of stuff. So it was expensive. They needed money to pay for those things, and you were not going to give us any loans. So that when you migrate us, they were able to register pharmacists. We were able to cater for those things as we do the housemanship, as you work on our financial clearance. So like I was saying, somewhere in November we hit social media. In like December to January, there were TV stations interviews where some people went into the bush to scream and a whole lot. Yes, we bre. So there was one thing clicked that clicked to me. I don't know how people, like, most of my batch people, they didn't clock this, but I clocked it. And it might seem like a conspiracy theory to you, but to me, I don't see it as a conspiracy theory. I see it as the real deal. Like, that was what was planned. Yeah, to me, I feel it was planned. Like, they sat down, they drew the outline of how they wanted things to go, and they made sure it went that way for them. And that was about the clearance. There was a clearance that came in February. I think around February 2024. A clearance came. and there was some shady shit about that clearance. And if you want to know, join me next week, because you people, if I decide to do more than 25 minutes, maybe become chew me up. I beg. Join me next week. Oh, would like the juicy aspect of this whole thing. We'll continue next week. I'm doing this in 2 parts because I might spend like an hour doing just one the whole thing. So I'm trying to cram it all in like 2 parts. That would be like roughly 45 minutes in total. So join me next week and you'll get to know the specific details of certain things that happened. At least in the first part, I've given you some serious juice to share with home for 1 week. Yeah, and please, I'm collecting funds. If you hear that I've been sued, maybe basically I'm working on slippery grounds. But answer me court. But that's a bye. See you next week for the rest.